Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today I wanted to talk about Aurora. The AURORAGEDDON is apparently upon us. I think this is from the Colin Kobe, so we have roughly 66 Auroras showing up. I think one of the most represented decks by quite a big margin here, actually. I think Zen was like the second most represented deck, and then from there, like some Syndras. But if you look at this, zero Syndra is actually converted, which is kind of crazy. So it seems like Aurora almost is just the new the better version of Syndra at this point. But we do have some interesting kind of data to glean. We see that like Florian's doing pretty well. We see like New doing pretty well. Like a couple other decks kind of showing up here and there. Prism actually not doing as well. So from what I've heard from some good Aurora players is that the Prism matchup is actually somewhat like good for Aurora, like not completely unlosable like it is for like Syndra. But yeah, definitely some kind of interesting data to look at. And then we also have some Descends doing pretty well. So like 20 something percent out of like that. It's like pretty good. Obviously, I think like the most standout conversions are like the Florians and the Auroras, which kind of makes sense. But yeah, for today, I wanted to talk about building a Zen deck to try to beat Aurora. So I wanted to try to get some Aurora games today, and this is kind of like the changes of making the deck. So for the most part, largely the core is remaining the same. Like we have our Harmony Hunts, we have our Blue Hunter Winds, we have Tiger Florian mechanics. I think I cut down on a Pounce Key to make some room here. But what we're going to be bringing in is the Wax Off package again. So we're returning to the Wax On, Wax Off package to try to deal with Aurora. I don't think this is like a silver bullet into Aurora by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it gives you maybe some marginal percentage into her. So if we can get a marginal percentage into the best deck, I think that's probably worth at least exploring. So returning to the Wax on Wax Off package, roughly like the D react ratios are kind of the same. I think I was on 8 reacts before, or maybe even like 9 or something. I don't know, but 8 reacts now. And then also if you get the wax offs as well, these are basically replacing the blue flicks in my previous list because I think blue flick was actually like a pretty good card. Just like being able to like tech against Zen while also like keeping your main deck and kind of being okay. But yeah, the wax on wax off package is like a lot more limited in scope. Like you pretty much only went into like Aurora, Assassin, and then like Syndra, for instance. Um, yeah, but we're gonna try it again today. This does mean that we're going to have some kind of awkward things with the deck. So like we have to either mainboard the wax offs or we have to like bring in some like breed angers and tiger. Like there's some different configurations here that I'm probably gonna have to like manually do. The wax offs can also like substitute for the cosmics in certain matchups. It definitely kind of just depends on like what we're trying to go for. But yeah, I think we're gonna try out this list today. So let's see if we can get some games. All right, so we got an Aurora, the perfect opportunity to kind of test our board here. So let's go ahead and bring in our React package. I think I'm going to start cutting Tiger Eyes from this configuration just because I think it's kind of weak. And then we need one more card here. I guess we can just throw in like a random blue. Winds of Eternity is probably fine. I haven't thought extensively about this board. I'm kind of just trying out some things. So let's go ahead and try out the Wax On, Wax Off package in Aurora, see how it does. And I'm assuming that the Armory deck cards are live at this point. I could be wrong, but this might be my first time actually seeing a lot of the new Armory deck cards. I wanted to briefly familiarize myself with the new cards. So we got like Skyward Serenade and Skizix are the new cards, and Written in Stars, Create Embodiment Lightning. If you dealt Arcane damage, just turn draw a card. Okay, good information to know. Wait, what the fuck is this hand? I like turned the screen to just see what was in the Armory deck, and I'm greeted with this beautiful hand. Put a card, yeah, and then I think we don't gain a resource here, so we're gonna opt to not do it. And then just, I guess, start the game off with a nice little level Sacred Art turn. Probably just Arsenal whatever we draw, and then I guess is Chase probably fine to just play into what is Skyward Striders? When this defense you reveal an instant. Okay, that's kind of cool. So it's like basically Battle Worn. Makes sense. Sure. We can just YOLO chase at them at turn 1. I think that's probably okay. Right, looks like they got React here. Makes sense. I think we'll get a little bit greedy and just play out the Kikara. I'm assuming that they're not going to have like CLV plus Sigil or whatever, but if they do, that obviously is unfortunate. They might actually, honestly, just Arsenal Crouching Tiger here. Because like Pouncey and Arsenal's not actually that good. I think Tiger is actually a better Arsenal than Pouncey, which is kind of wild to think about. All right, looks like they're going to somersault this back, so they basically get block 4, block 3, block 3. It's pretty good. So we're setting some good damage here at least. Like we're getting 6 chip in at minimum. Oh, looks like a double somersault. Interesting. But we also are denying them filtering, which is maybe pretty alright. So we were able to deal 9 damage to them on turn 1. Obviously, we don't get like a real arsenal here, but still like a pretty decent turn 1, developing out 2 chi. Just so our traverse is now live. Kind of okay with this. Let's do it again. Why? Yeah, why not? We can actually like do some funky shit with this. We can actually like end on levels. We can do like Kakara, block traverse, get chi, tutor chase, play the chase, end on levels. Yeah, I think that works. I think we're just priced into just taking this, so I'm not gonna pay into anything here. I guess we might as well like attempt to block Starfall, but like if they hit us with the burn up shock, I don't think I'm even that upset about it. So we'll go ahead and give Traverse here. Also shuffles back the other chi, which is pretty valuable. And I imagine we're probably just gonna be taking 8 or whatever on the next thing. I mean, yeah, I think this hand is like worth keeping or like worth taking 8 for. Could also like consider blocking. 8's a lot, but whatever. It's like 9, I guess. Sure. So you get a pretty good turn 1, but I think that our turn is also just a little bit better than theirs. So we're not paying for any of this. I think it's time to just step on the gas and try to play out our hand here. All right, so let's start with the Kakara, pitching that. We're also like pretty insulated against Face Purgatory here, I think. So we'll go ahead and play out Tiger as well. Play out the Arsenal Tiger just so that we have the hand Tiger, which we can like fall back on. All right, now we play out Chase. Play out Aspect next. We have the Tiger for Face Purgatory. Then we just probably play levels at some point. Then we play levels actually after. Ooh, this is Skizik. All right, 3 block, 0 for 4 functionally. Need to kind of familiarize myself a little bit more with these cards. I obviously saw the spoilers and stuff, but like getting like the how the card plays kind of feel is a bit different. All right, let's start with the levels. All right, we get a wax off or wax on in Arsenal. Could be a pretty okay. All right, go ahead and send in another Tiger. And then if they want to face Purgatory as Crushing Tiger, I think I am okay with that. So I feel like we should be dealing more damage to them, but like they're actually like pretty tanky here. Definitely a little bit concerning. They go for a CLV here, obviously we'll try to cover it with React. If they don't go for a CLV, what do we want to do? I still feel like using React here is like fine. Just make sure I'm not clunking up with Reacts and they don't just like pass the turn or like play out something. I don't know what they would play out. They could play out like, I guess there's maybe no real reason to do that. Right, Flittering Charge in hand. Right, we'll take the 1 and then they just have that Flittering Charge, the Arsenal, 5-card hand. Pretty decent. We could honestly use a Sync Blow if we want to try to like play around Face Purgatory here. That might not be unreasonable. Do we want to filter this though, is the question. I feel like filtering this might be reasonable. We could keep a blue and then like a Kara and then like send like a 1 cost at them. If we don't draw into a blue, are we upset? I guess it depends like what red we draw into. I think this is fine. All right, we drew into another blue, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I think that there are better reds we can hit, like a Pouncey Key or whatever, that I would be like more happy with than just like a blue. All right, let's start with the Underwinds here. And I'm kind of doing this in an attempt to try to play around Face Purgatory. It was like using the reacts there. And let's go ahead and now Kakara. And then I think we'll just grab our 1 cost here. And we're also kind of immune from Sigil of Suffering here. So like if basically why I'm dumping reacts there is if I'm going for like a Mullen key here, it's a pretty easy opportunity to face Purgatory, and if we keep it in hand, obviously it's pretty bad. I think there was maybe one small misplay that last turn was like maybe we should have just kept the wax on in Arsenal and then use the Sync Blow from hand so that we're not playing into face Purgatory. I think that might have been better. I think I was like trying to logic that I wanted to like hold on to the wax on, or like I wanted to maybe just like cycle the wax on because I was worried that we would like draw too many reacts or whatever. But I think it's actually the play there was probably to just arsenal the wax on, use the Sync Blow on whatever I reacted, and then just like, just basically kind of play around this. Yeah, Starlight Stride, is this is this in every like Aurora deck, or like they all kind of pivoting to this over like Snapdragons or Greaves, I guess? It kind of makes sense. It's just like but one blade break and then pretty easy to get the embodiment here. All right, seems like they're gonna just give up armor. Kind of okay with this. All right, we got Energy for an Arc Lightning turn, which we are now going to absolutely blow them out with. Pretty okay if I do say so myself. And I think our plan here is just block with the incants and then set up the wax on an arsenal. Just kind of reset the tempo here. Do we want to block this? I mean, there's not really a reason to block this right now. Maybe we're just supposed to take some damage here. All right, they have the press. That's fine. Now we have an option to wax on this if we really want to. But they probably have something else that they want to play, so I'm kind of okay just holding back here. Sure. All right, go ahead and block this, and then if they go for like a snatch here or something, we're kind of covered. If they don't go for a snatch, then it's also fine. We're just sending Kakara. I think there maybe was some merit to just trying to block on the first thing, but it's still, I think we're missing like basically a point or so here because we're attacking for 2 instead of blocking for 3. I kind of just assumed that they were gonna like, they didn't have press, but maybe that's probably, they haven't seen a press yet, so it's pretty likely that they do have one at this point. We're still immune from Sigil Suffering here, which is quite nice. All right, looks like they're going to pop the Striders. I'm curious to see how good these are. So Somersault, pretty good card, and then go ahead and just arsenal the wax on here. All right, still no wax off, but that's okay. We still do just need to be a little bit careful about, we need to be a little bit careful about their CLV Sigil stuff. So how do we best play around, like what is the hand that we want to keep if we want to play around CLV Sigil? Because like if we do Kakara plus Malinki, that does not play around Sigil. Unless we keep this in hand for Arsenal. In which case maybe then we can play around it. But it still feels bad to like be taken off of this. Maybe this hand just sucks. Like maybe we just want to block with the hand as much as possible if we can. All right, Shelter is an interesting include. All right, we'll pay 0 obviously into this. So the Sensate's done like a decent amount of work here, obviously. Let's go ahead and use the wax on here, and then I think what we're gonna do is just hold the red wax on in hand in case we need to play around CLV Sigil. But obviously we're kind of hoping that they don't have it. They did have a little bit of weaker turn, so it kind of would make sense that they do have CLV Sigil here. We haven't seen a single CLV yet for what it's worth, so like I feel like we're kind of overdue for one. All right, we'll go ahead and play the Mauling. We are somewhat insulated against CLV, but it will suck to obviously discard the card. All right, and we are safe. So now we just need to find our wax on, or our wax off, rather. All right, there's CLV, and here comes Lightning Surge. So definitely seems like a good opportunity to try to use a wax on here. Yeah, I think wax on here is like pretty safe. Go ahead and use, I guess, hand one. We should probably use the Arsenal one just so we do the same thing where we're playing around CLV Sigil if they go for Starfall. All right, they have Sigil Suffering on top as well. So that means that if they're keeping this around, so if they Starfall this, they draw into the CLV, or the sigil rather. Then on our turn, what are we doing? It's definitely gonna get weird. So I have perfect information here. Sorry, let me actually think about this. So we have the sigil on top, obviously. We have this here. There's not really an official way to do this, so maybe what we're supposed to actually be doing is just like Kakara plus E-Strike at them, and then we know they are drawing the Sigil of Suffering. We accept that they're keeping the CLV around. Alternatively, we can say we can block this, but then we're giving up Shuko, which feels. I think we're just supposed to just take this. So they have Sigil Suffering, one other unknown card in hand. If this is a lightning card that they can pitch, it's obviously quite bad. And this we don't really care about. They draw a lightning card, which they can have. They played a lightning card this turn? They played CLB, obviously, right? Yeah, so they could theoretically, if they draw a lightning blue or a lightning yellow, even they can pitch it to Aurora. I still don't think we care about this. So hopefully this card is like a red, in which case they can't keep CLV around. I think that's like best case scenario for us. Then we can do 2 into 7 at them, holding 1 floating for the sigil. Sure. Fair enough. All right, so they don't get to keep it around, which is really good. They have Sigil Suffering and Arsenal, which we now know about, and which we should be able to kind of play around pretty effectively here. So we'll go ahead and just go for the buff, holding 1 floating so that we can pay for it. And we're kind of in a pretty good spot here. They have to give us, like, if they want to cover this, obviously give us, like, 2 wish cards, and we're still leaking 1, so I think it's fine. And we're still just kind of in the wax off waiting room. We might be getting a little bit too greedy here, but maybe it's still fine. All right, go ahead and pay for that one. And then let's see if they have the second one. All right, no second one. All right, and we found our wax off, which is very, very good. Let's go ahead and take this damage, though. Unfortunately, sometimes your Zen state is a little bit improperly aligned, but that's okay. All right, Skyward Serenade. This is the new card that tutors for Skizik, Banish It, Shuffle. Pretty good. All right, so we're going to go for the wax on, wax off here. Reset the tempo again, develop out another Zen state. All right, pitching another Skyward Serenade. Interesting. Yep, just gonna wax this off. And then flittering as well. I feel like we can like Arsenal Tiger Swipe here, and then just send like Mullen Key for 3 because we have the Zen state. Like we're not getting Sigil Suffering tricked or anything here because we have the Zen state up, so I think this is fine. All right, go ahead and just send in Pouncing Key. 3 damage is 3 damage. Reset the tempo here, wait for our chi to kind of circle back around, and then just kind of go from there, I think. All right, we'll take 1 Arsenal Swipe, and then this hand will probably win us the game here. All right, just a Naked Snatch. Does Aurora run? Aurora doesn't run Blink normally, do they? How do they give this go again in instant speed? I'm trying to remember my Aurora. Like how many times have I played against this deck? Like probably hundreds of times, and for some reason I always forget the Aurora cards. I don't think there's any way they give this go again. So like the worst case is like double Lightning Press here, in which case we don't care because we're just gonna kill him. So I think it's fine. Like I don't think they have a way to give this go again. Unless they're running Blink, which I have not seen in Aurora deck in like forever, I think. Yeah, I cannot remember the last time I think I've seen Blink in Aurora deck. Okay. And then just like pitching to Aurora to keep that around. Okay, they did have to press. Interesting. But they didn't go for it? Huh. Yeah, that was a little bit weird. So, yeah, I don't think there's any way for Aurora to give anything go again in instant speed, except for like Blink, which is a card I don't think I've ever seen them run, like at least in a very long minute. Looks like our Waxons were like kind of a little bit we got one resolved obviously, but they're kind of a little bit kind of in our deck. But I think that just like Wax On in general into Aurora is like kind of fine, just as 0 for 4 a lot of the time, or even a 0 for 5. I think we had a pretty solid game this game. Obviously, going first is never ideal in Aurora, but we also just drew like the absolute god hand on turn one. So definitely a pretty good Aurora match. Let's see if we can get another. All right, we got a Aurora again. Looks like a different Aurora from last time. Let's go ahead and pull out our boards. We want our AB1, obviously. And then let's bring in our reacts, and then I think we also brought in like a Winds of Eternity last time. I could be wrong on that. Cut the Tiger Eyes just because they're a little cute, and then I think this looks just about right. Yep, let's go ahead and give this a try. So our last Aurora game went pretty well. Let's see if we can get some more practice though. All right, so this is looking more like the kind of Aurora configuration at least I'm familiar with. That's not running like the new boots or whatever. It looks like they're starting off with a Rune Chant and maybe just passing here. Hand's like pretty bad. How do we want to navigate this hand? We could just send like 2 and a 3, which is like pretty awful, and then like Arsenal Sync. We could also overpitch the Sync if we just want to find better cards. Definitely. So the option is whether we want to hold on to the Sync or whether it's worth it to not hold on to it. I feel like it's worth it to hold on to it, maybe. We just send 2 and a 3, hold back the Sync below. I think that's like kind of okay. Probably just going to Arsenal the Passover because we obviously want to play it, and then Sync Below can stay in our hand as a blocking card in case we need to like block out or whatever. I think it's okay. Obviously, the starting hand here is a little bit rough, but we'll do our best. All right, we'll go ahead and pass it here. I wonder if there's merit to playing Winds of Eternity, making a Chi IPing or something. Oh, we didn't do the thing I said we were gonna do, where I Arsenal Passover instead of the Sync Below. But that's kind of maybe fine. If we can like sync into a blue, this hand gets a lot better. So definitely looking for an opportunity to use it here. All right, on the Ravenous Rebel. So no arcane damage. We're now safe from CLV, which is good. All right, revealing a Static Shock off the top. So I think what we're going to do is try to save the Sync Below for basically whatever they do after this Ravenous Rabble. If they go for a press here, then I'm just going to use it because they could just go for Arsenal. But if they have 2 cards in hand, they're very incentivized to try to play one of them out. Or not. I'm kind of okay with this. So we have the incants, we pass over, pitch. I mean, we can pitch the Mauling, but we're probably just going to end up, or we probably actually don't want to end up getting a Mauling just to play around CLV. Yeah, let's actually go ahead and get like, okay, so how hard do we want to play around CLV here? Oh wait, sorry, whoops. I need to actually pitch the Chi in response to that. So I guess the question here is, how hard do we want to play around CLV? And maybe the question, or maybe the answer is just not very hard at all. So let's go ahead and just develop out Chase. I think here is fine. It's obviously risky if we they have the CLV, but it's pretty unlikely at like this early in the game that they do have it. So maybe I'm kind of okay with this. All right, using a Sync Below here, pretty good. So you get to send 4 into 4 here, which is nice, and we also develop out our first Chi, which is very good. And we're still sitting on React here. Obviously, CLV Sigil is like the scariest thing they can do here, but looks like they might just not have it. I think that's sometimes just a risk you have to take. Like, sometimes they just will not have it. All right, that is a pretty rough Exude Confidence, if I do say so. Yeah, that does hose us here, but that's okay. I guess we could just throw Traverse in front of it and do our kind of best to play through that. Yeah, it ends up being pretty good here, just because, like, this is not a hand we necessarily want to throw Traverse in front of, but like we need to do something with this hand, I think. So yeah, pretty good use of the Exude there. Definitely one of the cards that's better against End, but now they give us the opportunity to, or actually when Exude, this is for the whole combat chain, right? Yes, so that's pretty bad as well. So you unfortunately can't Sync Below here, so yeah, that Exude was pretty brutal. Oh yeah, this is rough. So we can give up Kasaya here if we want to deny a card draw, but like, I think we just probably need to let them have it at this point. Yeah, that Exude Confidence was actually like pretty brutal. One of the better cards I think in his end sometimes, just like, especially on this hand. All right, I think we are over pitching a Sync Below here. Can over pitch this. What are we grabbing though? Grab like, I'm not sure. Grab like a 0 cost here or something. It's not great. Let's grab, I guess, grab another swipe here if we really wanted to, but that's also probably not necessary. Maybe just get like, maybe another swipe's fine. They're never gonna block swipe like half the time. They do end up blocking swipe, it's fine. I mean, it's not really fine, but it's like kind of okay. I still just want to play around Sigil Suffering. All right, they're not going to fully block it out, which is good. I think, like, might on like with the amount of armor they have up, it might be 50-50 on whether or not they block it. But I think I'm happy here to just play it out. All right, 4 tigers. Unfortunately, nothing to do with them, but them's a break sometimes. All right, definitely looking to filter this hand. So revealing a snatch off the top. That is good information. We definitely want to just filter this hand at some point. So could block 3 and then like maybe block 3 and then like try to sync below this aspect into something. Right, if they have the press here, we kind of played around this pretty well. So let's go ahead and I guess just sync below. Get rid of that aspect. Try to find something a little bit better. All right, so they have a snatch on top. That's good information. And then I guess we're just sending in Kakara plus Mauling. And then we're still kind of playing around Sigil. I think that Exude probably ends up losing us this game, but we'll kind of still do our best here. All right, Skyward Serenade in hand. We have Snatch in hand. So we have one other unknown card. And then haven't seen a CLV yet, which is maybe good for us. But I think we're just supposed to no blocks this. They have it here. They have it. So fortunately, the 4th card seems like it is CLV. Ends up being pretty decent here. But our hand next turn is good if we get to... I don't know if I would even call this good. It's like, okay, I think. All right, they're going to draw a card, snap it. Sure. So that's kind of scary, but still do our best here. So our hand actually, I think it is good. But yeah, we're going to basically be eating all the damage here. Yeah, I don't know if we're actually going to be able to kind of break through here just because of that Exude. Definitely a little bit rough. All right, 2 damage is good. So I think our play next turn is like Incant Kakara so that we get the pitch in, and then we overpitch this Pouncing Key to levels, then Transcend. I did forget about the Snatch, though. Do we care about the Snatch, though? They already have a card in hand. So unless they have exactly Lightning Press, then we care. But if it's not Lightning Press... Wait, don't we know a card? We don't know the card they drew off E-Strike. So if the card they drew off E-Strike is Lightning Press, then I guess they got us here, but I think we're just supposed to take this. Because, like, them drawing a card doesn't matter if they already have a card in hand, right? I guess if it's current funnel, like, they get an embodiment or whatever, like, this is on-hit embodiment, I think that's fine. All right, so we're going to start with the Incant here, pitching Pouncing Key, and then sending Kakara. I think our play here is to let this resolve. We send in the Crouching Tiger. So I think we're ending on levels here, which is a little, because we need to get Chase the Tail here, which is the weird part. So let's go ahead and green this. Gain a resource. And then I guess we can let this resolve. That's fine. Pass. Activate Zen. Grab that Chase. So this was Tiger, yes? Okay, cool. Just making sure. So we do get all the modes on levels here. But we do need to kind of still push a lot of damage. I think whatever we draw off the top is probably going to determine the course of the game here. All right, so we've finally gotten through the Aurora Fridge, which is brutal. All right, we draw an Incant, which is not necessarily the best card to draw here, but is maybe passable. The question is, I guess, do we want to like just pay for this to get a Tiger? Is Tiger in Arsenal better than an Incant in Arsenal? Probably not. Yeah, definitely not. Okay, so they have an Arc Lightning here. I think we're incentivized to just try to block this. They only have 3 cards in hand, so if we can kind of bait the Arc Lightning turn a little bit, I think we might be in a pretty good spot. Right, they're probably going to end up getting a card draw here anyways, but let's go ahead and block with the E-Strike. And then they're going to get the card draw. We can pay some 1, but basically, I think our plan here is to try to pivot off like a wax on, wax off draw, because I think we are just behind in terms of tempo this game. All right, so we're going to pay 1. Right, another 4, so we'll go ahead and I think just aim to block out here. So block with like swipe, take another 1, take another 2 functionally. Or I guess we have the 1 floating, but functionally we're probably going to be taking another 2. All right, finishing on the Entwine, setting up an Arsenal, and then CLV does go away. So they have a 5-card hand they can obviously throw back at us, but I think our out here is basically drawing wax on, wax off, and then, setting up for like a Zen state or something. Okay, so have the flittering charge here. Yeah, I think we're just trying to block this out. So if they have another CLV, it's obviously rough. They're pretty actually likely to have one at this point. So maybe we just want to pass and see what they do here. Probably just go for a wax on. All right, so you have another CLV, which makes this wax on pretty good, because it just means that they're not going to get the card immediately. All right, they have a Sigil of Suffering, which is good, because we didn't attack into them that turn, which I think is great. All right, finishing on the Shockwave. I think we're just supposed to block this out and let the CLV go away, honestly. I don't think there's any reason to give them a card. Could send like Incant plus Kakara, but it's only 4 damage, and they're still at 9, so I think that our health is basically more valuable than their health at this point. Again, I think we're just looking for the opportunity to kind of pivot here, and this is, I think, the opportunity to pivot. So we found our wax on, our wax off. It might be a little too little too late, depending on like what their draw is here, but I think that going on the more defensive here is going to try to set us up for at least a chance to kind of get back in this game. I do think that if you're playing Aurora and you're not playing Exude, Exude is like a brutal card into a lot of decks. Definitely like a pretty solid include, I think. All right, seems like they're potentially bricking here. So we'll take this 1 arcane damage. And then I think that we're just going to go for a wax off on here. And if they do anything, like obviously give a Gogan or whatever, we'll probably just try to wax off whatever else. And then maybe transcend off that. But we also just have transcend naturally, even if we don't play the wax off, because we have this Incant in Arsenal, which I'm glad I actually Arsenaled the Incant instead of the Tiger. Yep, it looks like they're just going to pass here, maybe to prevent me from doing anything here. So I think they're sitting on a Sigil based on my observation, because they pitched a Sigil. They have that in hand. I think they're just sitting on like some kind of react or something. So we're gonna try to play around Sigil again this turn, which is definitely hard to play around every single turn. So we go to 3. We can hold this back. Yeah, we'll just preserve here, putting back a chase, and then just try to play out another chase. Yeah, I think this ends up being really good. The question, I guess, is do we want to Kakara here? So I think we don't Kakara, we leave 1 floating. Leave 1 floating by getting the chase. We play out Tiger, chase, Tiger, mauling, and don't Kakara, I think is the strat. Because I'm putting them almost like 90%. They have just another Sigil Suffering based on, or like some react, right? Just based on the way that they kind of had to pitch that turn. It was kind of lackluster. And that's also kind of showcases the power of like taking an off turn against some decks, especially decks that run D-reacts, is that eventually you can get them to brick if you just play on the defensive. And then we'll send in our mauling here. We still have that 1 floating, so this is coming in for 6. putting them down to 1. They have a 3-card hand. We still have armor. Like, I think we're actually in a really good spot here. All right, looks like they're going to somersault again. So they have stack shock plus skyward, so they can send like a 0 for 4 on hit, extra 1. Oh wait, they can't block with Serenade, right? Or they can't bring it back. All right, so this is coming in for 4, and we have like a very good hand. I don't know if this is, It's interesting because I don't know if this hand is necessarily the best in the world. It's like very good though. I guess the question is like, what do we want to give up? I think we give up like 100 wins plus. Is Zen State gonna matter this game? They've used 1 Arc Lightning. Like, we're going to kill them, I think, before the Kasaya ends up mattering, is my logic. So maybe we block with this just to like soak up some damage and keep our life total a little bit healthy to play around like Lightning Press and stuff. All right, let's go ahead and start with the Kakara. And then we're going to Rising Sun Path. Draw into a levels. Okay. It's pretty good. So we get a 0 cost here. We levels draw to finish it. We don't really have a good 0 cost, though. It's kind of a problem. Maybe we just get a Mauling Key and then levels first is also an option. We could also get the Pouncing Key if we really wanted to like play it safe. Let's get the Mauling Key and I guess just draw off levels and just try to kill them this turn. So we'll do draw, go. They don't have a chance to react to this before we get the draw, so as long as we draw like any pitch color, which obviously we can, we should be fine here based on, for like Sigil of Suffering purposes. All right, we'll finish on the Mauling here. So they need to give us at least 1 card here, and if it's 2 blocks, they need to give us multiple cards. All right, get them down to 2, and then they send in a Scar for Scar. So this hand is a brick, so we need to unbrick this hand, hopefully with this sink below. So what is the way to unbrick this hand? It's probably getting rid of the Key Unleashed here, and then we just hope to draw into something better. All right, Aspect is better. Still kind of like, you know, mid, but it's fine. We at least get to send 2 and a 3, still holding 1 floating, and then arsenaling Wax Off. I think this is one of the better Aurora games I think I've played in a while. Just felt very back and forth. It felt like the decisions we made kind of mattered. Yeah, just feels like it's been a pretty good game so far. All right, Entwining, revealing this card. Sure, so they can... What does Skizik say again? Hold on, let me read the stupid card. It's like if it has go again, it gets +1, so they basically just like give it go again for the +1. Sure. So we can double transcend here, keep a blue, and then like wax on the Skizik. That seems fine. Go ahead and just do this now, just because it makes it a little bit less awkward. All right, they Serenade. I'm assuming that they're getting Skizik and then just making embodiment to play it, which makes sense. All right, Skizik coming in. I think we're just going to utilize our Wax on here because I think we just kill them next turn based on our hand. All right, so we start with, I think we have Key Unleashed, right? Did we block? No, we bottomed it, right? So let me just make sure. Yeah, we're getting Key Unleashed. And then we can just pitch a blue here, do 2, 1, 6, which should strip their hand. And then if we can keep stripping their hand for the rest of the game, they're eventually going to just get chipped out. So this demands 2 cards. We're still playing around Sigil of Suffering, so just in a very good spot here. All right, Serenade is okay with me. We have Sacred Art. Question I have. I guess we're just going to wax on this again. Play out Harmony, play out Sacred Art. Should just kill them, even if they do have like Sigil of Suffering or whatever. They used all their CLVs. They've used... I think they have... Do they have 1 more? Hold on. This is actually important to kind of keep track of. I think they have exactly 1 more. Yep. Okay, so they pass. I'm looking at their graveyard. They have 1, 2. Unless I'm blind. They all look the same, too. There's so much lightning everywhere. Okay. Let's go ahead and just do Harmony. We don't even need to hit anything here, but obviously it would be bonus. Grab our Sacred Art, and then just send in a bunch of annoying breakpoints that they're probably not going to be able to deal with, even if they do have Sigil Suffering. So yeah, it seems like they're going to just give us a good game there. All right, good game. So they have the Arc Lightnings there, but like my logic with breaking Kasaya on that turn is like we just get a little bit of life padding, and then if we can basically keep them off having a 4-card hand, their Arc Lightnings don't matter because we just have AB1. But yeah, that was a pretty good game, and looks like very funny that they had all 3 Sigil Sufferings in the deck. I feel like I get owned by this card more often than not, but definitely one of the cards you just have to play around. I think that's why you want Tide Flippers in general, is because I think it just gives you a lot of value in terms of like being it's not even on the defensive you necessarily want this, although it was sometimes kind of like good that game for the Arc Lightning turn. It's more so that you want this card just for like being on the offensive, and they can't use that stupid card against this, because this is basically like draw a card, 0 for 4, deal 1 damage, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, but that was a pretty good game to kind of wrap it up on. So I think we kind of demonstrated, I guess, let me go back to my decks. So I think that was a pretty good game to wrap it up on. So we did only some Auroras today just to kind of get a feel for the matchup, get a feel for the new cards, and kind of see if we can find some like variants in the Aurora lists and like what they're running. Obviously, I think that the Aurora lists are probably going to kind of consolidate after like the Calling Kobe lists come out or whatever. But I think that like this game plan where we're doing the wax on wax off stuff does give us a very substantial edge into Aurora, obviously at the cost of, you know, some other heroes, but that's okay. I think if Aurora is going to be the dominant deck, which it looks like she is going to be, Zen has at least some play into her. Even if like she does have like the high roll potential or whatever, like it feels like you just do have a lot of agency in that matchup. So definitely a matchup I think that I kind of do enjoy, even if it's sometimes just very high roll back and forth. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and if you have any questions about Aurora, or if you have any suggestions for how I should be sideboarding or whatever, feel free to drop them in the comments. And yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there for today. So thank you all for watching, and see you all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.